Right, you ready? Right. Welcome back to On the Slab Horror Show. We're back. The originators are back. Wow, look at it. The boys are back in town. Dynamo's dozen in the Dynamo Kelly. How are we, my man?
I'm very well, very glad to be back. People will have to excuse my voice and the little bit of look of fatigue, possibly. I've been hitting it hard the last 3 days at 3 gigs in a row in town, and it wasn't like a festival, so I didn't even get the pleasure of camping over.
Who we
It's
tell us who you went to see just for a laugh, man.
You're putting me on the spot. Well, for the misses, we went to see Green Day on Monday, who
Okay.
were actually all right, to be fair. Wouldn't be my cup of tea, but they were pretty decent. Guns N' Roses, of course, on Tuesday. And Red Hot Chili Peppers yesterday with Flea and the boys in full form playing stuff from the 80s, believe it or not.
Which is good. It was nice. I saw a couple of videos.
Yeah,
They sounded
they looked good,
fantastic.
didn't they?
Yeah.
They were. Anthony Kiedis' voice was spot on as well. No, it was actually pretty awesome, I have to say. It was good. We were right at the front as well. But
Savage.
as anyone knows, with some of these gigs, getting out of them is an absolute nightmare. And
maybe some of our American viewers or listeners may not know. Like it was in Dublin, and it shouldn't have been that difficult to get from A to B.
No,
you know,
no.
Like
it's taking
that was
4 hours to get home for some people. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
So you're getting up on 4 hours sleep, hitting it again, and but I'm still here.
Absolutely representing. That's what I like to see.
Representing, brother. Glad to be back on here as well. You've been doing good without me.
We've been trying to. We're keeping the train rolling. You know yourself.
Keeping it going, yeah. 100%.
Shout out to Greg, who's on that poxy thing we call work at the minute. Yeah. And of course,
Ted as well.
Tombstone has been killing it for us as well, like, which is great, you know.
Yeah.
But So I mean, obviously, as we always say, in Ireland, we always watched our horror movies on what night? Friday night, and that's why Friday night is horror night. Exactly. So we're not going to be talking about an actual one film per se this evening. We're continuing our series of
decades.
Decades. So the last time we did one of these was yourself and Greg, wasn't it?
Gregory, was myself and him, yeah.
So we're now, like, I mean, anyone who knows us, we're coming really into your kind of genre of your decade, should I say? And that's the 60s. And I mean, it really was the birth of I suppose the height of Hammer, wasn't it? Really, like.
Well, absolutely, man. It was I would have almost loved if Ghost had a song called the 60s, so we could just have that as our theme.
I know.
The 20s, imagine. You know.
We should have done. I'm pity they didn't release that when we did the 20s episode.
We could have just literally been like, lads, come on, just give us a loan of just that one clip, and we can just have it in there. We can just call everything the 20s if Ghost agree.
I'm right. So we're gonna do, like, it's more like what films that me and yourself like personally, but have been kind of agreed on by the two of us, which is generally the way
we're going to go one a piece. We're going to go 10, aren't we? One a piece, yeah.
Exactly. So these aren't, as we say, they're not in an order. They're just films that we love from this decade. And this, as we were just saying off air, we could have done a list of 50, 60, 70 just from this decade alone, which is crazy.
It was weird as well, because like people will see from our list how varied we are in terms of, but I had a struggle, like, and I was trying not to put everything Hammer involved, but you'll see that with like the last one, the 50s is also kind of my thing as well, especially getting into the late 50s. But once again, you'll see that there's three kind of actors, don't you, that really just stand above everyone else, and that's obviously Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, and Vincent Price. They are kind of just killing the 60s and the 50s. Like
Vinnie Price was just unreal in this period. He really was. Some strong stuff. I mean, like that, a lot of my, I was picking stuff to kind of that I would think were brilliant, obviously, but as well to really show how strong the decade was. But there's so many films that we could have put in here from, as you said, from the three lads themselves. You know.
Yeah, 100%.
So, like I said, we're going for 10 from the 60s, and I think if you want to start off, you can go ahead.
If you want, yeah.
Absolutely, go ahead, Dynamo.
Cool. Well, I went with Dr. Terror's House of Horrors,
Ooh.
1965. And it was a British anthology horror, like, so it was a couple of stories in one. I love those, I have to say.
They're good, and they like Creepshow and all that kind of shit.
Man, yeah, like I grew up on Creepshow and Tales from the Crypt, like yourself, and you know, obviously Tales of the Unexpected was out, before our time, but
you would have seen reruns though.
100%. Same with what was it? There was a couple of other kind of little kind of ones as well that used to kind of have those little. Even as a kid, you remember like Goosebumps and stuff like that. When you were a young kid, you were like, oh, you'd have it during the day, and they were always really kind of cool. But yeah, no, this one was directed by obviously one of the goats in terms of horror directing, in my opinion, anyway, Freddie Francis.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, it starred, should I say, Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee.
There you go.
I mean, you mentioned Vinnie Price was killing at the time, but my God, so these two boys were up there. You know, it was hard to set.
They had. Sorry for cutting in on you there. They had staying power. They really had staying power. You know, and you look back on any one of those lads' films now, and they don't get old. You know.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I was looking at
this was one as well. Don't forget, this wasn't even Hammer. This was Paramount.
True.
So, like, it showed how good of friends these two boys were as well. Like, look, you could flip a coin between Vinnie Price, fucking Pete Cushing, and Christopher Lee. Depending on your personal preference, you're not going to get an argument from me.
Yeah. Well, you would say I like all three actors, but if a gun was put to my head and I had to pick one, it would be Vinnie Price. You know. Yeah. But
Christopher like that, Lee for me. But, you know,
nobody's wrong. You know,
I'm not going to die on that hill, though. You know what I mean? It's like, nah. I was like,
but look at him.
Asking me the question.
Look at Christopher Lee, though. I mean, he's fucking. What was his name in Dooku? Count Dooku in Star Wars. He was.
Oh yeah.
What's his name in
Saruman?
Saruman. It's deadly. Two iconic characters there.
Yeah, unbelievable.
And that was the latter end of his career, like.
And what was great as well was when he played that little role in The Resident when Hammer had done their comeback.
That's correct.
Movie, which was a great movie, by the way. Hilary Swank, who was a top level actor.
Yeah, she's a great girl.
But this is a really cool movie. Like, for anyone that hasn't seen it, again, it's like a little anthology thing. It's really, really kind of. It's creepy, like, you know what I mean, and once again, it's all the atmosphere that they create. I know me and you bang on about atmosphere all the time. It's the atmosphere of these movies and the sets that they used to use.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is, even though it's Paramount Pictures, you can see it's quite clearly the Yanks trying to, you know, tap into that to the success from the Hammer horror.
Yeah.
You know, ideology of horror. And yeah, this is a great little movie. And I recommend it wholeheartedly.
Absolutely. So go check that out. Yeah, we got one of mine now. And I mean, mine are kind of predictable. But when you see what the first one is that I'm going to say, you'd be like, yeah, of course. So I went for Witchfinder General, which had and funny enough, I only found this out when I was starting my research. I only found out I had another name, Conqueror Worm. And that's an even cooler name, I think.
It's very B-side though, isn't it?
Oh, it's class, yeah.
Well, I like it, like, yeah.
So that was done in 1968, and what you call it was
based on Edgar Allan Poe as well, which
that's correct, yeah. About
yeah.
Matthew Hopkins, the Witchfinder General, and it was made on like £100,000, and it was, I know. And it was done in conjunction with the Tegon British Film Productions and the American International Pictures. Yep. So it was like a cross-continent thing, you know. But I love that because it's such a cool looking, again, atmospheric tale of witch hunting really, and it basically tells the story of a soldier whose wife goes missing. There, she's been accused of witchery, and this soldier lad is trying to chase Hopkins all over the countryside then, and it's such a good film. I think it was ranked number 44 in the American Institute's. Sorry, I'm thinking see. I'm trying to be smart here with me little lists here.
Was it Edgar Allan Poe that done this as well though?
Yeah, that's where the Conqueror Worm came from. Yeah. But
I need to verify that.
Oh yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah. So it was Matthew Hopkins was actually a lawyer who was apparently falsely appointed the Witchfinder General. In the film. So and of course Vincent Price was Matthew Hopkins, and he had that cool, distinct voice, and he was an evil fucking son of a bitch. And
a lot of people think it was his best film. To be fair,
it's right up there. I mean, I love this, and I love The Last Man on Earth, and
The Fly as well, brilliant. Yeah,
and I also love the abominable Dr. Phibes.
That's a belter of a movie.
Yeah.
Belter of a movie. But this one, man, this is really creepy.
Yeah. Creepy is the word. Exactly.
Folk horror as well. One of the original folk horrors for anyone that's out there. I have no problem on this channel giving a shout out to Shudder. Hopefully if Shudder are ever watching, they'll fucking come
bring us in, lads. Yeah, bring us in.
Yeah. But they done a big kind of thing about 2 months ago where they put a load of folk horror classics, and that was obviously a big one.
Oh, absolutely.
Highly recommend it. Recommend
it. So it was named as the 15th greatest horror movie of all time, believe it or not. So that's praise enough, isn't it? Really.
That's saying something. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So
well, I went in with another Vincent Price one here.
Oh, you did?
I did. And it's also another movie based on an Edgar Allan Poe story.
Oh.
It's The Mask of the Red Death.
I think that was one of the ones that we had initially both agreed on, wasn't it?
Yep.
And then I was like, well, I mean, like you said, we could have had more than, like, we picked 5 each to make it 10. And I was like, well, I'll pick another one. Because, I mean, I could have had 5 of Vincent Price, but I obviously didn't,
Same. Yeah. You could have literally had 5 for Vincent Price, 5 for Peter Cushing, 5.
Maybe we'll do something like that actually sometime.
Maybe but a top 10 list of their best movies, each individual character.
We get rid of the decades first, and then we can revisit them. But the Red Face of Death, or
Mask of the Red.
Yeah.
Unbelievable movie. Fucking, like, when you think of those Edgar Allan Poe short stories and full stories, like the amount of work in horror and kind of thriller that has come off the back of them is actually crazy.
Phenomenal.
When you think about it.
Yeah. I mean, the two people that come to mind from old days like that, obviously Bram Stoker had Dracula, that's fine, but Edgar Allan Poe and H.P. Lovecraft, like their reach is still being seen today with content,
100%, like, and it's like even the old illustrations that go back with Poe's stuff, like, they're absolutely very creepy, to be fair.
Very.
But it's this one is kind of one that it's kind of dark, and it's almost kind of it alludes to the the whole QAnon people of the masquerade balls and kind of the dark side, I suppose, of the elite, if you will. So maybe, I don't know, maybe there was something that Poe was privy to, and
you never know back in those days,
especially back then. So I mean, we all know that whole Bohemian Grove stuff and all, where the elites like to go up and dress up in robes and put these weird gimmicks on and stuff. So it's kind of it's a cool idea, even if it's a conspiracy theory. It's a cool one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or not so cool, depending on depending on what really happens and what doesn't. But this is a really, really cool movie. You notice there's there's a big chime in this, like, and obviously when the chime and stops, the masquerade has to stop. So it's really kind of regimented, very, very dark. What did you think of this one, in fairness? Because
Yeah,
you said you were going to pick it as well,
yeah.
so we
I
both
think
had to
it's
pick.
like you say, it's very creepy. It's quite dark, and again, I love. There's so much imagery in all these pictures and atmosphere in
Yeah,
this decade that like you'll not turn them off. That's
no,
they're all
no,
they're and
no.
they're rewatchable. And I find
Yeah,
this one particularly, again, with Vincent Price, what another great performance. You know,
yeah.
um,
That voice, man, like it's.
I love his voice. I absolutely
Here's
love
a
his voice.
here's a quick little funny story. I know it's rock and roll based, but it technically has horror involved in it. The obviously our band Iron Maiden, the number of the beast. A lot of people thought that was Vincent Price that does the intro. Woe to you, O earth and sea. Turns out Bruce Dickinson tells a really funny story. They wanted it to be Vincent Price, but apparently he turned around and said to the record company, "I don't get out of bed for less than $10,000." We don't have $10,000, so
Brilliant.
they got someone who'd done a really good impersonation of Vincent Price and put him in there, so they didn't quite get the Thriller Vincent Price. But
Well,
hey, I
they
guess Michael
wouldn't.
Jackson was a fan of Number of the Beast.
Yeah, and of course they wouldn't have had Jackson's money at that stage.
No, but yeah, that voice is just something
It's
spectacular, isn't it?
iconic.
And like some people are gifted with a look, or some people are gifted with, everyone has a gift, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But Price's gift was both acting and that voice, but that voice just brought his acting to a different stratosphere.
yeah. It was
Unbelievable.
iconic, and it's rare to get that now, especially in a horror film or in the horror film genre.
Yeah,
There's very few memorable horror actors nowadays, I feel,
yeah,
because
yeah,
there's not as much focus on the that like the art of acting in a horror film, I suppose you could say,
I
and
don't
that's
know. I mean, I think when I look at like Patrick Wilson is one of them for me. I think he's kind of been happy enough to kind of put himself in that, and obviously worked a lot with Blumhouse and done great stuff. Obviously with
yeah,
the stuff he's done, The Conjuring, and what was the other one, Insidious and stuff like that. So he's done great. But yeah, like there's not a lot
it's
like you
not
had
loads,
back then. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So as you say, another great film. Shall we move on?
We shall go, my friend.
Right.
I'm just keeping an eye on my list to make sure we don't cross
Yeah,
over.
no, that's no problem. I don't think we do. And I think
No.
the last one was the only one we would have done. And I think that was done on purpose. So
Listen, the listeners know it's show business, and we know
yeah,
obviously what we have, but we have
yeah.
to kayfabe it. Come on.
You've just ruined it.
Go to bed, kids. Santa's not real.
so so here we go, another one. And again, anyone who knows me will be like, oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, right, Carl. The Devil Rides Out in 1968. One of my
A
favorite.
fantastic Hammer movie.
Oh my God, I love this film. I watched it. Oh yeah, a few weeks ago. I watched it three times in 1 week.
Really?
I love it. I absolutely love this film.
And it's a very like it's very satanic movie, very
Yeah,
very occultish, and of course, who was in it?
Christopher Lee, and it's
Exactly.
unusual. He doesn't play a villain in this one, which is
Yeah,
rare.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think to me that's a nice thing that sticks out for me, that he doesn't play a villain.
These actors, they're so good at their craft that they could flip flop between, bad guy, good guy,
Yeah.
and it's like, some actors just have like a bad look to them. You know what I mean? And they play the bad guy. Like straight off the top of my head, Kevin Bacon just plays a bad guy really well.
True.
But because he's such a good actor, when he does play a good guy, you're like, I'm right behind you, because I've seen you do bad stuff, and now I want to see you do good things.
But so 1968, and it was based on the 1934 novel of the same name by Dennis Wheatley, who was a very, very satanic author, I suppose you could say. A lot of his work was satanic, or had devils and demons in it. A lot of the guys back in those days did like writing about that kind of stuff. So there was a lot of
But
material.
it's very prevalent though. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
it still is. To be fair,
Oh
just
yeah,
it's probably not as easy to find, but it's
it's there. It
you
is
know,
there.
yeah, it's
But
most definitely there.
as you had said, Christopher Lee's in it, and Leon Green, who was the main kind of bad guy, and has another guy who has a look and a specific voice. And then you have Charles Gray as well. So you have a strong cast.
Big
Um,
time.
yeah. So set in London in 1929, and of course it's all about, as you said, it's satanic ritual, and it's this group trying to resurrect the devil or whatever demon it is. And it just, again, the sets are fantastic on this. It's a Hammer. What you expect? You know, it
Yeah.
looks like
Oh,
it. It feels like it. You can almost smell it. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
yeah, I like this film, Devil Rides Out. Um, yeah, there you go. What do you think about it?
Man, I love it. It's one of it was one of those it was different for Hammer because they were trying to move into the new decade and try and do something a
Yeah,
little bit different. And it was a bit, I suppose, there was a bit more of a budget about it too. And as you saw, the color started to get a little bit better, the production got a little bit better and stuff.
mm,
But it was definitely, you know what I mean, still very much a Hammer movie, but also very different. If you get me, if
yeah.
you're looking for that, if you were looking for that kind of old gothic kind of castle sets and stuff like that, it was a little bit
They
different than
they
that.
did that so well, though. All that stuff they
Yeah,
did so well.
yeah, it's beautiful,
This,
man.
the amount of
Beautiful
dedication and care that was taken for the sets in the Hammer films.
craft.
Ah, and weren't most of them done in Bray Studios, I think, weren't they?
They were, which is kind of like a little bit close to my heart, even though it's not Bray in Ireland where I'm
Mm,
from. But it's kind of ironic that it's called Bray Studios, and yet the biggest film studio in Ireland is in Ardmore Studios, which is in Bray.
in Bray, yeah.
And my I suppose step granddad, if you want to call him, he was a carpenter, in there for years, and the head
Right.
carpenter for years, actually, believe it or not. And he worked, like, he used to go out drinking with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt and some of the
Ha,
boys after the shows and all, which is a really cool little story.
deadly.
Yeah, my stepmad's dad, Viv O'Brien, shout out to him, rest in peace. He's passed now, but he was a hell of a carpenter. So I always appreciated the work that goes into these sets. Like,
Yeah.
he done all of the work on the likes of Far and Away, and like mainly that Some Other Son. He's
Oh,
actually
right.
has an appearance walking down the road in that as
Ha,
well. Yeah.
cool.
So he's done so many films. So yeah, The Devil's Own with Brad Pitt, which is
Nice.
pretty cool. So was it? I've always kind of appreciated that craft side of things for the
Mm.
sets and like the work that goes into them. It's just it's nice because what you're seeing on camera looks like real life, right? And then,
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Real.
you know,
It's real. And
yeah,
even when I look, what I love in old horror films, if they're using kind of sets, or sorry, like say buildings from 100 years before or 70 years before, and that's old. I
yeah.
just think there's something inherently evil about ancient things. I think. You
I
know.
think it's the great thing about British TV and British movies, isn't it? Because so much culture within British.
Mm,
It's such an old country as well, but there's so
yeah.
many old, like, I mean, Bray Studios, I believe, was like, it was used for the army. Like, it's an old Victorian building, and on a lakeside, and it was already history before the history. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Wow.
yeah, it's really, really cool. I love that as well. Love it.
Mm. So that's Devil Rides Out, another fantastic film.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't have a Hitchcock movie in here.
Oh,
But guess what? It's not the one that people think.
I probably have the one that people think of. Don't
I went with The Birds, 1963.
Another great film.
Very under. I don't know if it's underrated. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but
Probably
maybe a
underappreciated,
forgotten
maybe.
classic. Yeah,
Yeah, underappreciated, maybe.
underappreciated, man. Like, my God, like, this was one. Let me just look here. I'm actually looking
Yeah.
some of the actors here, right? Just to give you. So you had Susan Pleshett, who was. These women were always good looking, weren't they?
Oh,
What was the
absolutely.
deal?
Real women.
Yeah, you'd Rod Taylor, Jessica Tandy, Susan Pleshett, and let me see, film stars Rod Taylor in her screen debut alongside Jessica Tandy, Cartwright. Yes, that's the one. Apparently, obviously, we know that El, El Alfred was sometimes a bit nasty to the people on the set.
Yeah.
No, not we're not talking like Epstein's and all here, but we're saying
Oh.
he was one of those directors that really pushed his actors, and that's what I was trying to read earlier. That's why I was looking down at my phone. He really pushed them for fear value. Do you know what I mean? And scared them. Like Tippi Hedren, that's her name. Like she was a beautiful looking woman, as you know.
Absolutely.
But she's still with us all my days, man.
Really?
She's 92.
Wow.
She is still with us. But this is what I was trying to find. Guess who her child is? Melanie Griffin.
No way.
Yeah, Melanie Griffith. Peter Griffith's daughter as well. So yeah, a lot of people, I only found that out about a couple of weeks ago. That's why I was kind of getting myself a little bit in a tizzy there. But yeah, this movie, I have to say, obviously it's after Psycho and it's in color, but the whole lovebirds, when she buys the lovebird, she's on the run, and obviously the lovebirds are affecting the birds around this town, which is it's based in Bodega Bay in California, a nice little seaside town, and you see the birds all starting to get a little bit angry and then attacking people, and you're like, what the fuck
when you see them looking around and they're all just perching around on you. This
really creepy though, isn't it?
But this just one thing I do want to say, this film used to scare the shit out of my mother, because my mother was terrified of birds. So if that ever came on, and she'd actually sit there and she'd go, like the way a woman was going like this in the film, and she'd see it and she'd go, no, turn it off. Fucking hilarious. And all you know when they're flying around, it's just little and like crappy looking little thing, but it's still great. Don't get me wrong.
That scene when they're in the school and they go out and it's that little cage thing where all the birds are just literally covered the whole thing, just waiting on the kids. You're like,
fucking mental.
Oh shit. Great movie, man. And look, Hitchcock, you could make an argument. Someone might go, oh, that's a thriller. It's a horrifying fucking thriller, so therefore it's
if we want to include it in our list, that's up to us. You don't have to agree with us. If you don't agree with us, you can tell us in the comments,
100%.
And tell us why. That's what I like to hear.
And then come on and I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Exactly. We'll always if someone wants to prove us wrong, come on and we'll have it out with you, in a nice, friendly, professional way.
Old school style. We'll have a debate and then we'll have a beer.
Damn straight.
The right way. But yeah, 1963, The Birds for
Great
me.
Show.
One of those I saw as a kid after Psycho and stuck with me. So yeah.
Nice one. What year was that again before we go on?
63.
Yeah. I'm going to a year before that. And again, I saw this film when I was very young. This probably would have been one of the very first what I would class horror films that I've seen, and at a very young age, because it wasn't really, I don't know, it wasn't always on, but when it was on, I'd watch it. It was Whatever Happened to Baby Jane in 1962.
Oh, don't even. You know what? I'm just going to jump in right there. The first movie that I genuinely had nightmares over, because I watched it. I was shown it when I was about 6 or 7.
Jesus, parenting 101.
Oh my god! Yeah, well, there was aunties and uncles involved in it too, but it was in my grandmother's out in Finglas. I was the grandmother's, I told you, but it wasn't her fault. Yeah, it was just that's where they all lived. And I think fucking
Stone Cold. I think Stone Cold Steve Austin based himself on your granny.
Cold woman.
No, badass. That's what I meant.
but in a good way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Don't take
Yeah.
don't take that up the wrong way. I meant that in a good way.
No, I got it. No, cold woman, but in a good way. She's like, come on, watch this, you son of a bitch. you're, you're right. So I'm related to Stone Cold somehow. That explains
Yeah.
a lot.
Anyway, I spoke over you there. Apologies. Move
No,
back in.
no, I spoke over you, to be fair. I just wanted to throw that in. I thought, oh my days.
What a film.
Betty Davis,
Yeah.
take a
John.
bow, lady. That
I
was
always
unbelievable.
found Betty Davis. She was never one of the like, and I don't mean this in a bad way. She wasn't a looker, we'll say. Right.
No,
But what I loved about her, she was confident on screen. And again, I'm not sure about private life, but she was always confident on screen. She always played strong characters, and always played into the character, which is one thing I always.
and they had a rivalry too. Remember, there was a show
Yeah,
about that. What was
yeah.
the other girl's name again?
Joan
Sorry,
Crawford.
was it
Joan Crawford.
Joan
She was in the
Crawford. Sorry, my
wheelchair.
bad.
Yeah. No, you're grand.
They had a hatred for each other that was like, they're competing against each
Hated
other.
each
Like
other. Yeah.
this could have been a boxing match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they're doing it on screen, man. And what a twist in this movie too.
Oh, I know.
When you get it, you get it. Why don't you tell people it's fucking over 100 years old? Tell them. So basically, Betty Davis is the lunatic child that never grew up. She was a child star, so it's a great. I mean, that still exists today. She was a child star.
Still
Britney
thinks she's
Spears.
a child. Yeah, still thinks she's a child star.
Still thinks she's a child star. I'm writing a letter to Daddy.
Writing a letter to Daddy.
His address is still unknown.
Brilliant.
So it's like she's just crazy, but she's looking after her sister who was obviously in a car crash, and she's basically thinking that she's the one that done it. So the whole way through the film, you're thinking she's the bad guy, and she's pretty fucking nasty. To be fair,
so I like it.
That fucking Joan Crawford's character is actually
the puppet master all along.
Yep.
She's a nasty little piece of work,
Yeah.
But I don't think we should say too much about these films, just in case.
Well, I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. You're dead right.
You got me excited with that.
I know. Like that, I'm probably gonna fucking watch that now after this. You know what I mean?
I'm watching it in bed now.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. So I mean, Jesus, when you think of how creepy Bette Davis was in this, she was creepy as hell. And do you know what I always
remember she brings the lawyer in and she starts putting the performance on.
Yeah.
It was like,
oh, poor woman.
Yeah, great fucking shout, man. Great movie. That would have been on my list if it wasn't on yours, 100%.
Yeah. So there you go. That's whatever happened to Baby Jane. What have you got for me?
I went with one at the touch of the decade, literally the start of the decade. City of the Dead, or better known to some of the European audiences as Horror Hotel.
Horror Hotel.
Black and white movie. Yeah. Christopher Lee. Man, again, we're going very satanic on this, aren't we? We're going very ritualistic on this.
But that, you see, you know something? That's one thing that interests me from this decade and even the 70s is the amount of satanic devil worship and stuff that came out. I always find that stuff interesting. I'm not
being two devil worshippers ourselves, obviously.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Say that. But go on anyway.
Yeah, let them stew on that for a while. Yeah, I mean this one was unbelievable. In fact, the first time I had seen it, scenes from that was obviously the video from Bring Your Daughter to the Slaughter with Iron Maiden, if you remember.
I do.
That Ken Shamrock looking motherfucker with the hood on. Remember him standing there in the back. This movie actually scared the BJs out of me, and I was older watching it because it was black and white. Now it wasn't a Hammer horror, so it was British actors used by the Americans. Once again, they were seeing the success of what was going on over in Hammer, and kind of said, right, well, we can do a bit of this too. And this one is literally Yeah, because like even I'm looking at anyone that's listening. Do yourself a favor and just look up the City of the Dead, the original
Mm.
poster for it. If I could have this poster on my wall, which I will acquire at some point, it's unbelievable. It's the thrills and the chills of witchcraft today. The City of the
Thrills
Dead.
and
Have a look at it
chills.
there. Have a look at it there, Carl, while I'm talking to you there. It's
Yeah.
the theatrical poster. It's unbelievable. Directed by John Lewin Moxie as John Moxie, not the wrestler, just so you know, because it's Moxley. Um,
Oh wow.
it was very. Do you see it there?
Yeah.
It's a pretty badass poster,
Class.
isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Distributed by British Lion, but like I say, it was done in the UK, but it wasn't done by Hammer. So obviously they just saw the value of the likes of, Christopher Lee. But this town, they go into this town as a couple, and it's a dead town basically. Like no one will go down there. It's like they just reach a certain point that no one wants to go.
Yeah.
And you're staying in the hotel. It's all very weird. It's all very. It's not inbred as such. It's not, it's not like everyone, but it's like one of those towns where like no one will speak about it, and then they kind of
Oh
get
yeah.
a little
Like
bit
Bray.
weary of them. You know, you know, when you know, you know.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, so it brings me home, this one. But no. Now it was released in the UK in 1960 and the US in 1961, which is strange, but yeah, man, this is I don't know if anyone has seen it. Look up Horror Hotel or City of the Dead. You'll find it probably on YouTube, I'd imagine.
At this stage, yeah.
It's absolutely phenomenal movie, and this would be high on my list, actually, like very high.
Yeah.
Very high. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
yeah. Fantastic film.
City of the Dead, baby.
Check it out. I have two more left. I think you've one, haven't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So this one is actually not one of my top 10 ever, but probably one in the top 20 for me. And it's Night of the Living Dead from 1968. George A. Romero, of course, the godfather of zombies, the godfather of gore, you name it. He's of course, this was this was the start of a trilogy.
Groundbreaker as well, I must say. But not black guy in the lead role as well. And people don't realize how important
it was monumental.
That is.
Yeah, it was monumental.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I love that when your woman is in the grave with her brother. They're coming to eat you, Barbara.
yeah, man. It's
yes.
I know you're a big zombie boy as well, obviously, with the t-shirt, but
I love like that. I love even how they did the zombies in this. Like, I mean, it was 1968. They weren't gonna know a hell of a lot about zombies, and
well, it's actually, to be fair, I've heard arguments for and against with this. Like, say for example, I just went there with Horror Hotel or City of the Dead. And say the production looks a bit better on that than it does in Night of the Living Dead, even though it was 8 years earlier. But it's not about that. This one was done on a budget by students. Again, you seem to be into those student movies.
I do, don't
I? Yeah, you're rooting for the young people. I love it.
You have to,
But do you get what I mean by that? Like, it probably, of course, the effects now probably look hokey and look, whatever. But it's still a movie that has still stood the test of time if you watch it.
Yeah,
for its context.
Only watched it there a few weeks ago, and couldn't take my eyes off it. Dwayne Jones was the actor, the black guy, who was, as you said, it was a monumental casting, really.
Yeah.
And I think Romero got a lot of flack for it.
You did?
Yeah, but him. He didn't give a fuck. He really didn't give a fuck. If he wanted to do something, he did it.
Cut from the same cloth as like John Carpenter and all that.
Oh yeah. That's who Johnny looks up to,
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah. So it just started off that the Dead trilogy of Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
And what a way to start off a trilogy. Again, I'm sure most people who are listening or watching have seen this film anyway. So there's not much more to be said about it. It's an American institution of early horror, I think, And
Fact.
yeah, thanks very much, George, for Night of the Living Dead.
Fact. I love it. Well, I'll go with my last one. I went with a 1964. I have a hammer in now, so you
Good.
can see people can see what I was trying to do here,
Yeah.
and not be too
Sprinkled it around the
missed
place. Yeah.
And it was difficult. It was difficult, but I went with 1964 Hammer movie, The Gorgon, which
Nice.
And you know that I even had a song in one of my old bands.
That's correct. Yeah.
The Gorgon, Gorgonized.
Yeah.
It was called. You remember that?
I know this is a film close to your heart, isn't it?
Yeah, big time. It was a strange one because it's kind of based on the Medusa thing, and this woman that can just turn people to stone with a glance, and her hair is basically snakes, so it's the Medusa. But it stars all my favorites, man. It has Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, and they're all working in tandem. This is what's great. Like, they're not the bad guys here. They're actually together.
And that's again, as you say, a great dynamic. And when you're so used to, well, Cushing was always there. You go. Cushing was mainly a good guy in things, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, Frankenstein.
He had that gentlemanly type.
He did.
You know what I mean?
But then when in Star Wars, he was a bad guy.
Again, unbelievable.
Like. Yeah, and he was. You may fire when ready. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. But he's just, oh man, he was just absolutely fantastic. And the whole, like, because this is kind of based around Central Europe, around the tens.
Yeah.
They've seen like loads of kind of horrific murders, like lads just being turned to stone, and obviously the guys get called in to investigate.
Yeah.
They're I don't want to give too much away for this movie because like it's actually one that a lot of people haven't seen. It's not the one, like, even I just checked there, like it's a 6.4 on IMDb, and I'm like, how is it only 6.4? And then it's a 64 on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's kind of like, I don't know, like it should be higher for me. You know what I mean?
Another underappreciated.
100%, and I think it's only people like ourselves that would, appreciate everything that Hammer were doing at the time, kind of really get it. But I mean, if you go back and watch this now, it's really, really is a fantastic movie. Again, an amazing set. I suppose the innuendo of like the devil woman that can turn a man to stone. It's like we're all afraid of that. You know what I mean? And it was kind of like, obviously, when I wrote that song, I was going through a different period of life. So I was like, I know a couple of people that, that resonates with. So I'm going to write a song about that one.
People are going to want to hear that song again.
And they'll never know. I know. Actually, they fucking will. Yeah, I must try and dig out the lyrics from my head.
Yeah, do a reading on the show some night.
Just do a reading
of the lyrics of the Gorgon or Gorgonized.
Gorgonized. I'll just do my poetic deep voice like that. Won't be able to show my face though, because you need to soothe the people. You know what I mean?
We're going on it. We're mental here tonight.
Well, it's been too long.
Absolutely. So, but great shout, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, watch it. It's on YouTube as well.
Great. So, fantastic.
Check it out.
So we're gonna wrap up with one more. And I think it would have been remiss of us to not include this one. And that's 1960s Psycho.
Of course.
So like you said, yeah. Well, I mean, there you go. I went with the ones that I felt couldn't be glossed over, and not that anything was glossed over here, but I was just this decade is too strong. So Psycho, it was Alfred Hitchcock again. Absolutely. And
it can't be left out though. I mean, it's iconic. It changed the game in terms of how.
Yeah, and another thing, the score, the music, the Bernard Herrmann, fantastic. like this is the perfect. Like I said to you before with the film, if you get the perfect melding together of music and a film, it just enhances the thing even more. And the music can be a standalone thing on its own. You know.
Well, we've said it before. We need to do a show about music in horror because
Yeah.
it's so important. I mean,
Yeah.
it's I'd say it's a good 60-70% of it a
I
lot of
think so.
times in horror.
Yeah.
Because when you have a weak, what's the word? Let's say when you have a decent narrative, but you have a weak cast who wouldn't say necessarily be the best actors in the world.
Yeah.
Just think circa 70s and 80s. You know what I mean? With all the
Yeah.
B-list horror movies that we love. Your music is
Oh,
what keeps
absolutely.
you know what I mean? It's what keeps it. And I would say one thing, just a quick one. When you look at the cool little Easter eggs that are in this movie, where like with that shower scene,
Yeah.
like when you slow that down, you can actually see it's him.
Yeah.
But you don't. But to the naked eye, you don't see it.
Yeah.
So when he's stabbing her there, you know what I'm talking about. You're seeing
Absolutely.
the thing. So when you slow it down, you see it's the man in the wig.
Yeah. And that's attention to detail,
Genius, man.
Yeah. Of course,
Genius.
the main actors in this were Anthony Perkins, who played the psycho
Who is
himself,
this? I don't know what's happening there.
Norman Bates.
Someone is singing to me for some reason.
Smash it up there. We also had Janet Leigh, Vera Miles, John Gavin, and Martin Balsam. But of course, the main two were Anthony Perkins and Janet Leigh. Horror icons, especially of their time. But yeah, so that I mean, again, everyone knows Norman Bates is a psycho, literally. His mother's dead, and he thinks he keeps her memory alive basically by being whore, dresses up as whore, and kills some of the guests in the hotel.
And keeps her body in the fucking house as well.
Yes, and again, nearly I'd say most people in the Western world have seen this film at some point or another. So if you know it, and you know how good it is.
Would
And
it
of
be worth
course,
mentioning the name Ed Gein?
oh,
Here?
absolutely, I was gonna get to that. Yeah, it was loosely based on Ed Gein, who used to, if anyone doesn't know, used to skin people and wear the skin and dance in the moonlight and all this kind of stuff. So this was
Women.
kind, yeah,
Because he wanted
women,
to
yeah,
be his mother. He
he
wanted to be his mother, yeah.
wanted to be his mother, exactly. So this was
Fucking
issues. But yeah, so this great. I mean, and this was the kind of film for me that didn't need sequels. If it had been just one on its own, that would have been perfect.
we thought the 80s sequels were good, though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I don't think it needed.
No, it didn't. It didn't. But
As
I
sequels
do
go,
think
yeah, there were some of the better sequels compared to some of the ones we all know and love.
it was a
But
good acting job as well from the geezer. His name won't come to me right now, but he was able to flick the switch.
Anthony
You know,
Perkins.
yeah, in the remake.
Oh,
Not the remake. Sorry, the 19 what
sequels.
was it 1982 sequel Psycho
Oh
2.
yeah. But that was him again, wasn't it? Perkins,
Was
yeah.
it him again?
As far as I know, in the remake it was Vince Vaughn,
Oh
which
yeah, no, fuck the remake,
I
man.
wasn't happy about, and because I don't mind Vince Vaughn, but not in that,
But he's a comedy guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Let me see. I'm gonna get this here before we get slaughtered. You keep talking.
yeah. But again, I think this would be Hitchcock's big one, and like we say, it's ingrained in history, in pop culture, in life. It really is. I mean, so many other films have kind of come from it, and characters, even on a different type of state level, Leatherface is there. Like they're all stemming from Ed Gein, who then makes Norman Bates, who then makes several other people, and that's a testament to the strong character that Alfred Hitchcock wrote for this piece.
100%, man. I absolutely love this movie. Yeah, 100%. You were right. Anthony Perkins, he done Psycho 2 and 3 as well.
Yeah,
That's crazy that Psycho 2 came out in 1983, 23 years later, and he
yeah,
still looked the same.
yeah. He was. He was. I don't think. I don't think he did anything of real note after these films.
No,
Uh,
they were the two. He done The Matchmaker in 1958. It was Psycho, Goodbye Again, but there was a lot of maybe old school fans will tell you,
but
big fans of that.
in a sense of horror, anyway.
Crimes of Passion is a good show, by the way,
Yeah,
1984.
yeah, it's okay. Yeah,
Pretty good show. But yeah, no, you're right. But this movie in particular is his big one, and then obviously Psycho 2 and 3 were probably just paydays or whatever. But good to have the original guy in them though as well. In fairness, coming out 20, and it made sense. Like for anyone that didn't see the 1983 follow up, like it is a decent follow up.
Yeah,
because he's better now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is.
What is he?
He plays. I mean, and that's it. You couldn't imagine anyone else playing that role.
No, and that's why I'm actually ashamed of myself for even thinking that, because I should know this, but I was like thinking that's probably not the same guy, millennials and all this kind of thing. I wasn't around at the time. I was like, whatever.
But you know what though? Isn't it great that we ended the show on a film from the actual 1960, from the very first year of the decade? I just think that's cool.
We had 2 in there today, didn't we? 2,
yeah,
which is mad.
But I mean, it just goes to show you the strength of that decade from start to finish.
Unbelievable.
And it like this was, again, we're really getting into the next couple. This episode, even the 50s and the 70s and 80s is going to be our mine and you. It's going to be our.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see what the soulless one has to say when he's back on with us. The G-man. The way redheads have no soul.
Fuck that guy.
But of course, we're only kidding. We love you, Greg. Look,
he's our right and left arm. So
he is. He absolutely holds it when we will. He holds it when we piss. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're gonna leave it at that with my rudeness. And again, as always, it's been fantastic hanging out with you, Dynamo. It's been amazing. Before we go, are we still rocking with Dynamo's dozen and what's going on?
Of course. Are you kidding me? The Dynamo's dozen numbers are absolutely insane at the moment, which is just crazy considering that there's no guests on. It's just me and our boy, shopkeeper Hogan, bringing the latest. Bringing the latest news. This is dropping on Friday here now as we speak. Today's show is also dropping, covering New Japan versus AEW, which is a pretty cool show. You'll hear a cool rant on Joey Ryan from yours truly.
Lovely.
Because he was fired from Disney today because he was
working
to get a job on.
I was just going to say, how the fuck was he working for Disney?
He got a job on a Jungle Cruise.
Oh my
he was only 3 months into the job and they found out his past and said, "Get the fuck out."
Lovely.
So we give a bit of John Cena appreciation as well.
Good.
So yeah, lots going on there. And then we've got my football show, obviously. The Chelsea Roar. Some people may not be into it, some people may not.
We are, so that's all that matters.
So that's all that matters. So yeah, busy. And nice. As I said, 3 days of gigs now, just coming down to reality again.
What better way to do it with some horror movies, you know?
And with my brother.
Absolutely. It's been absolutely fantastic to be on with you again. And hopefully everybody likes, shares and subscribes and all that kind of stuff. Be nice for you to do it. If you do,
follow us on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. I run the Twitter. Carl and the boys, between us all, they run the Facebook. We've got the G-man that runs the Instagram. So you're always going to get in touch with one of us. Yeah. The Twitter side of things, as soon as the shows go up, they're always going to be shared. So, we've got a decent following on Twitter so far and Instagram. But Twitter's a nice little one just because I know it more. So if you need to reach out to me, you're always going to get myself. The lads jump in sometimes when needed,
Yeah,
or if you're a Facebook person. So we've got all angles covered, and
exactly. And don't be
we
a
love it.
stranger. Don't be a stranger. Don't hit
Definitely.
us up if you wanna talk about something, or you want us to talk about something, because we're all, at the end of the day, we're fans of horror. We just love horror. We're not what we'd say. We're not experts. We're just saying what
Expert.
we like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's why it's not just our show; it's your show as well. So if you're listening to this or watching this, and even if you want to come on and have a little chat with us about even a film or a genre you like, get in touch, because we'd be more than happy to see what's going on.
I
Absolutely,
know people have reached out to me asking, would we talk about Stranger Things when it's all done, just as a
absolutely, yeah,
franchise and as a thing? It's like, absolutely, we will. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
100%.
Me, I don't care what Greg says. Me and you like it, you know.
Again, he's no soul. So
There you go. And on that note, we will leave you on the slab. And on every movie night, you got to say one thing, Ian. What do people have to be? Stay scared.
stay very scared.
Adios, folks.